Yeah, I still have no idea if that's really what was causing it or not, but it was very coincidental.
You know what? I've already toggled it.
So,
You have 5 minutes.
all right. So we are back with our all monk adventure, the day of 10,000 fists. Our party of young monks is actually separated currently. They have set out on the road, each seeking sort of their own individual fortune in this 10-year period before the next day of 10,000 fists. We've had all sorts of interesting things happening. Show the pseudo Warforged, the awakened training dummy of the Iron Body Clan, is on something of a pilgrimage, seeking, if not redemption, then to better understand the place of violence in his life going forward. The time manipulating monk Tai has been training with his master, only to discover that during his period of isolation, the Demon Way, the Heavenly Demon Clan, has gone on a rampage because one of their young princes was killed during the Day of 10,000 Fists. A prince whose belongings are entirely in Ty's possession. So Ty has mastered some of these demonic techniques, taken on some of this demonic equipment, and we last left him standing around a group of kneeling demonic practitioners as he has fully adopted the role of a demonic practitioner for the moment. We also had the Silence returning to the Razormind sect's headquarters and descending down into the Shardmind caves. This ancient, most important site for the Razormind sect, where he meditated in front of the Shardmind crystal, the crystal which contains what seems to be the founder of the Razormind sect. While he perhaps thought he was meditating for a shorter period of time, he awakened after years, now in the companionship of a sentient chunk of purple crystal, which calls itself the Sound. Snikt traveled with members of the Blade Serpent clan, learning from one of their old masters, who we only know as Grandfather. After mastering some new techniques, he parted ways with them, which is going to bring us to Lilifear. But before we get going, two things of housekeeping. Uh, is anybody decent to turn on a camera?
Oh, I should be.
I am, but I don't wanna.
Well, I want to see your face.
There's some
Yes.
there's some people.
Sure, I picked the right camera.
Be It'd be like a wild, sad thing of someone like just having a bunch of Discord accounts and talking to themselves on stream. Um,
Man, I did that for Zoom.
Happened to me a few times too.
just a little housekeeping thing. If each of you looks at your character sheet on D&D Beyond, I gave you a new techniques tab. This is a place to manage your techniques. It's at the bottom of your inventory. And just as a reminder, you all now have most of you have more techniques than you can currently utilize. You can only have two active at a time, and you can change them on a long rest. So all of your mastered techniques are all under the same little tab, and just make sure you only have two of those checked until your proficiency bonus goes up. All right. So we will jump in with Lilifear. So
Right.
we rapidly rewind in time, going back 5 years from where we left Ty, and we're back in the 10-year city. Lilifear has just emerged as the champion of your all's sort of section of the Day of 10,000 Fists, you've received a truly an absurd prize. Uh, Literally more gold than you can carry without magical assistance.
Yeah. It's like 10,000 gold or something, right?
Yeah, along with some powerful magical items.
Yeah.
And now you are sort of free to move about the cabin. So, what is on Lilifear's agenda?
The cabin, you mean the square or whatever where we
I
are?
don't know. It's just a metaphor,
Oh,
like on an
right.
airplane.
Yes, right. Okay. I was like, where'd the cabin come from? Okay. Uh, yeah, because like the guards were getting dispersed for interrogating people or whatever.
Yeah, they don't know exactly who they're after, but we know that it was definitely Snikt who killed
Yeah.
the heir of the Ceres clan, basically the hereditary governorship of this entire province.
No regrets.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're
Right.
actually in the
Yeah.
clear. So, what is
Yeah. I
on
don't
your.
have to worry about it. Yeah.
We did say there are some Falling Stars sect members here. Checking back
Right.
in at the sect wouldn't be a bad idea.
This
But
is
if you've
true.
got somewhere more specific you want to go, um, what's what's Lilifear's drive in this moment?
Yeah. No, I go over and shake some hands with the other sect members that I don't really know, but I've seen in passing, I guess you could say. Uh, Exchange pleasantries, and then I don't know. I usually like to fly up to like a high point and just survey the area because I don't know. It's what I do.
All right.
Just look around.
So with this sort of swirling of your innate fey magic, combined with some of your gravity distorting techniques, you slip the bonds of Earth and rise into the sky above the 10-year city. You're not alone up here. There are a lot of different sort of class and wealth and sort of prestige levels represented here. There are like literally like boats floating in the sky. There are carriages drawn by flaming horses. There are people sort of zipping around on clouds or standing on swords or just all kinds of some people are just like you fully see like two like long gray bearded masters who just seem to be like sitting on chairs with a little table between them with like teacups, and they are like sipping their tea, seemingly supported by nothing. Like not just the masters, but the chairs, the table. It's all
Yep.
just
Everything's
suspended
yeah,
perfectly.
cool. Well, it's always fun to see other gravity defiers. Uh, I guess yeah. Is there anything interesting on the ground? I can't think of like
I mean, there's definitely like a teeming mass of people down below.
yeah.
You see folks who are thrilled because either their master or their apprentice or their family member has returned.
Mm,
Last time we saw several groups that were grieving.
mhm.
The Ceres clan is still sort of angrily trying to turn things upside down, but even their power has limits.
Yeah.
There is a tension in this world between sort of imperial and government power and the sort of power of martial and magical might. So while flashing the Ceres emblem, and a high-ranking one at that, was able to sort of command this group for a moment, there were some like martial masters and magical masters who started like giving the guards some real like unhappy looks after a while, because a party is unfolding.
Right.
People are drinking and eating to
Nobody wants to
excess.
deal with. Yeah.
You see a lot of other competitors are like selling things at the merchant stalls. A lot of the lower tier stuff is being sold like at the stands, but some of the high class materials are already heading to the like mini auction house that's set up here, and some of the more highbrow patrons are circulating there. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
So, just to give you
cool.
an idea of some options in front of you. So you can check in with your sect. I don't know what sort of relationship situation that Lilithir still has with them, but you could potentially look into meeting up for good or ill with the bandit clan with which you were previously affiliated. You could also pursue additional wealth, magical items or weapons, new techniques. You could seek out a master with some specialized knowledge that you're interested in.
Um, so yeah, since I guess I don't have to worry about really sneaking out of this place, even though it'd be fun to use my cloak of elven kind. But yeah, I guess there's not much of real interest here. So, well, I guess first of all, yeah, definitely I would check in with my I don't know, I guess you'd call it Lost Boys group or whatever that I'm in charge of, or uh, make sure the kids haven't completely destroyed their area.
Uh,
Uh,
so, uh, so we've called them bandits, but if they're if they're more sort of on the younger end, are these more like Oliver Twist pickpockets or
Something like that, yeah, you could say. I don't know if you saw the email I tried to
yes, I
send.
was looking at it.
Just, yeah, there's more I meant to send, then I forgot. But yeah, and so yeah, I was still playing a little bit with yeah what could be fun for yeah a backstory here. But yeah, they're kind of a yeah just ragamuffin group of yeah kids that need some yeah watching over from time to time,
Uh,
but also yeah have that kind of yeah orphan independence to them too.
so I would think for that kind of operation, they're probably based out of a city, right?
Interestingly enough, we have come kind of more of a Robin Hood type base. I don't know what you'd call it, just kind of in the woods. I mean, near a city-ish, but yeah, like we kind of operate out of there. And
Okay.
some of the boys will be gone for days at a time, kind of living in a city somewhere. But yeah, that's our kind of I don't know, home away from home, I guess you'd say.
So when you say Robin Hood, are they literally like robbing people in a forest kind of vibe?
Sometimes, yeah, I would say I would sometimes the group above me, I guess you could say, will use because they if they need like a young kid for certain activities or whatever, they yeah dispatch them to a city or whatever, and they'll kind of blend in the city and do their pickpocketing, spying thing or whatever. Sometimes they like to use them for information gathering because people will oftentimes ignore children, especially orphans, if they're just kind of around.
So in that case, um, let's say that they are. Let's say they're in the Thousand Lakes region. It's to the south of where you're at right now in the Golden Plains.
Okay.
So that's where the headquarters of the Falling Star sect is.
Okay.
So they're probably in and around the capital of Javon. It's this beautiful sort of garden terrace city. There's a lot of sort of casual wealth in this place,
Hmm.
and part of it is seeing that there is a lot of magical and martial power on display here. there are sort of otherworldly plants and sort of landscaping effects around these huge estates. Like nobles from other kingdoms, from other regions, have like summer homes here. This is the this is like almost sort of like a high end like Florida uh, gated beach community vibe.
Right.
Although it's on a river, but
Yes.
sort of palatial estates interspersed with more modest accommodations for everyone else. I think what you find, though, is that not all of your little lost boys are accounted for.
Mhm.
One of them, so a group of them had gone off on some fact finding mission, and it's been it's been months now that they've been gone. You don't get to check in as much, with all of your Falling Star sect
Yeah.
responsibilities, but you would get letters occasionally, and like couriers would sort of bring information back and forth. So you knew that they were going out, but they have not checked back in, which means they've been gone for months now with no
Mhm.
word. What would Lilifear do?
I would immediately, yeah, go back, yeah, check in with the rest of the group, see if they knew anything. I I don't exactly trust the um, people above me that have this all like set up. So sometimes I suspect that they don't always have the kids' best interests at mind. Uh, so there's always, yeah, tension there, but because I will always get the full information on what they're always dispatching them to do.
So I think when you're not around, um, there is a half orc, half Goliath young man who is actually a little bit older than Lilifear, but the Lilifear is the leader because this slightly older figure is just the most like meek person possible. So they have this huge burly build, but are just like the most like
Right.
polite, like what can I do to help energy. We're gonna say that her name is Mal, and Mal informs you that some of the kids went off for an information gathering request.
Mhm.
They were supposed to be looking into some strange bandit activity. Not getting too close to them, but just kind of like moving through the region, seeing what was going on. And they would often do this in the disguise of basically of beggars. Unfortunately, in this sort of setting, information gathering is often done by sort of invisible folks who are
Yeah.
not well considered by society, or a place is not particularly carved out for them. So mammals are growling in the other room. So somewhere in one of the northern regions, they were looking into this strange bandit activity, and they have not reported back. This was a request sort of through this
Mhm.
sort of loose parent organization, maybe in
Right.
multiple senses. So, how do you follow up on that?
Well, I'd say I'd probably try to go to the area they were last known to be, I guess, and just investigate it myself.
All right, give me an investigation check. Is there anything way that you're sort of like setting yourself up to succeed here?
Hmm. Say I might bring along with me one of the kids that's kind of pretty good at like tracking and finding people and stuff. We often use them when we have a missing kid that we're not sure where they are.
All right, we're gonna call that kid Nert. Uh, I'll let you decide. What do they look like?
Oh, kind of smallish, uh, almost like Dobby from Harry Potter type, build, and very quiet, but always seems to be kind of observing in a nonchalant way. Uh, and just very good at tracking and noticing things, and somehow has this weird, almost supernatural ability to find people.
All right. So since they are Dobby-esque, we're gonna say that they're a goblin. So with Nert's assistance, go ahead and roll investigation with advantage.
Oh,
If you've already rolled, just roll one more time.
yeah. What other ones?
Two pretty decent rolls. You discover that the kids did come through this way, and hold on. We have a mammal acting weird.
Yeah, right. It happens.
So with Nert's assistance, you gather some information and you find that the kids did come through, and there was a bandit group that was sort of based in this area, and they were more in the neighborhood of like sort of a protection racket. They would set up and charge tolls on the road. They would claim that they were, gathering taxes or, sort of small scale stuff.
Yeah.
But recently, they seem to have been getting more active than before. Like in the window before the kids got there, which maybe was the precipitating event, they had suddenly become much more aggressive. They had even attacked some folks who were traveling up and down the road, even some like contingents of like imperial soldiers. So the kids came around asking questions, and around the same time, the group of bandits left, and no one saw the kids anymore.
Mm. Hmm. So the last time the kids were seen was like near the bandit group, or were they kind of?
They were sort of moving in and out of town, asking questions about this group,
Mm,
and it seemed like all of them sort of disappeared around the same time.
hmm. Do they know which way the bandit group went?
To be honest, no one really
Hmm.
wanted to know, but if you were to go maybe check out their former encampment, you might discover something.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, give me a survival check. Nert can give you advantage on this.
I think it's been longer than 5.
Okay, who focused Colby?
Oh,
Crash
I've
number
had him
one.
focused the whole time.
So did I.
You know what you did.
Oh, it was definitely me.
-5 points to Gryffindor.
Okay.
I already told you you had 5 minutes, and it's been longer than 5. But yeah,
Well, it lasted a while then.
Nobody focused him this time and see how long it lasts.
I already have him focused. You have 5 minutes.
Oh wait, oops! I rolled the wrong thing. What was I doing?
Anyway, survival. What'd you get? 14 and a 12. It's not too bad. You're able to get sort of directions. The existence of groups like this is sort of a poorly kept secret. As long as they're not more annoying or dangerous than a certain threshold, people just don't go after them because prying them out of the woods or the mountains or the rivers or whatever is often more work than it's worth. But the people who lived here knew where they were. So you're able to get up there and you discover this sort of forest encampment. It's pretty crude. There's sort of a wall of sort of sharpened logs that's only maybe like 10 feet tall. There's not even really a gate on it. There's some sort of rough sort of huts and buildings. And with that roll, I'll say that you notice some things immediately. There are a lot of scorch marks. But not signs of like uncontrolled fire. There were lots of small bursts of flame that did not light the place up. You also discover it doesn't seem like they left in a hurry. And I'm not saying they like cleaned up neatly behind them, but it seems like most of like the valuable things are gone.
Speaking of gone,
Why?
That was quick.
Hey man,
It doesn't even like fully close it out. It just like minimizes it for a second and turns my video off and pops back up.
weird.
I wonder if it's because streamer
Okay.
mode is turning on.
Okay, I won't focus in on you this time.
See what happens. Nobody looks at him.
But anywho, so you've got plenty of time, so you're able to sort of comb through. You find a body. It is not one of the kids. It actually, it's in pretty bad shape at this point. But the intact clothing and sort of accoutrement of this corpse resembles the figure that you were told was the bandit group's leader.
Mm.
And in this case, this person, to put it simply, something burned their head off.
Oh gosh.
In a way that looks almost instantaneous. With your survival roll, you think you might be able to sort of get a sense of what direction they went in.
And I guess we can assume that all the fire stuff is some sort of magical. Oh,
Russell's being a weirdo and not like selectively not eating.
Huh.
I don't know why he's hiding under my desk instead of eating chicken nuggets.
Um, that's just weird.
So anywho, give me a history check.
I don't know nothing.
Womp womp. Yeah, you got nothing. Uh, that was a 5. You do see vaguely kind of where the tracks lead off. This was a lot of people not moving particularly stealthily, and this is sort of an isolated area of the woods. And you can see that it sort of trails off back towards one of the main roads.
Was that history roll to see if I knew how the fire was generated, or was that a different thing?
Yes, uh, I use history as a shorthand for like your ability to recognize different like arts and
Yeah,
techniques.
that's kind of what I was making sure. Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Well, I guess I tried with Nert's assistant to follow the bandit clan's tracks out of here.
So as you get on the road, um, there are a lot of people traveling on this road. Um, in fact, it the people who are traveling on this road, almost none of them are going the same direction as you. There is a torrent of people coming the other way, and this is a pretty long journey on foot. The sort of next large area down this road is a good haul, but you see there's a lot of sort of bedraggled people, folks who seem to be carrying everything they have on their backs, coming the other way.
Hmm. Uh, well, I guess I would try to ask one of them what everybody's uh, moving away from, or why the mass exodus of sorts.
So, combining different stories and rumors and different sort of uh, experiences that are conveyed to you, the consensus is that there is a group sort of a couple of cities down the road from you, um, that is just sort of rampaging.
Hmm.
It's not a large group, but they seem particularly dangerous. And notably, um, you hear multiple descriptions of red flames.
Hmm. Sounds very not good. I guess I keep heading in that direction, just more carefully.
All right. Um, so you start to see signs of it. Um, there are uh, at first it's sort of wreckage of the recent past. You see sort of blasted out buildings that look like fire has swept through them. Um, the trail of people starts to drop off pretty dramatically. Um, and as you go, you start to see This is months of travel. Eventually, you start seeing smoke, just hanging like cloud cover over an area.
Mm. Am I seeing a lot of like dead bodies or anything? Or
You definitely pass through some towns that, in most cases, it looks like someone maybe came back and was able to sort of at least bury folks afterwards. But there are some places you pass through that seem like just no one survived.
oh, wow. So it kind of just seems like indiscriminately just killing and destruction at this point.
I would say with your bandit background, you do recognize. It seems like some things have been taken, but not the scale you would imagine. Like this is bad bandit business. Like burning things down is dumb. You want to take the things that you can and leave things that you can come back for later. Like,
Yes.
a village is a renewable resource if you don't burn it to the ground.
Exactly.
So, the few people you pass, you do start to hear other rumors. Um, the lord of this territory, I'm going to double check. Show we never said where Barack was, right? Just that you were sent to meet with him.
That's correct.
So we are arbitrarily going to put them in the northern end of the Verdant Hills. You hear that the lord of this territory, um, who has a name, or they don't, and I'm crazy.
Sir Edmonton is his name.
I think I've heard of him.
That's
Maybe.
bizarre. How do I not have a family for them?
He was an orphan.
It's no family
Huh.
tree.
Weird. But anyway, the lord of this region. Um, I know the name of famous like livestock meat products in this area, but not the name of the lord. So the Lord
Import.
has not only sent soldiers, but has actually contracted out members of the Iron Body clan for a sort of long-term campaign to put down this sort of rampaging bandit group.
Well then, I guess that's who I would go to talk to about. I don't know what he has going on. Yeah, trying to deal with them and get more information about. I mean, I doubt they would even have noticed, but yeah, just if they've heard anything about some kidnapped children or whatever.
So the trail leads you towards a battlefield. The smoke here is fresher. It fills the air. It's more choking. And you start to see this sort of red glow filling up the horizon ahead of you, and the sounds of combat start to reach your ears. It seems like the bandits and the Iron Body forces are fighting at this moment.
Oh wow. All right then. Well, I tell Nert to do his disappearing thing and just find somewhere safe to hide, and I'll um, see if I can uh, see who the leader is, I guess, of the Iron Body people in this area. If he's like, yeah, in the fight or near the back or whatever. If there's a chance to make it over to him, but
Um, Normally, you would expect to find sort of a commander figure, um, sort of at the back of the line.
mhm.
Um, Sort of directing the fight from the rear. Uh, and you do see what looks like some officer type figures wearing sort of more like the heavier armor of like a soldier or a guard. Um, but everyone seems to be answering to this raging, screaming halfling in the middle of the fray.
Well then, well, screw it. I go in and start helping with the fight. Hopefully, they know I'm on their side and not.
You quickly realize uh, you almost certainly will not be mistaken as an opponent. Um, there's about uh, five or six of these mercenaries, and then what looks like about 20 to 30 soldiers,
Mhm.
uh, and what looks like a screaming, rampaging pack of about 50 to 60. It's hard to say what they were before. This crowd now is they look they look both sick and possessed.
Mhm.
Most of them have like dark circles around their eyes. They look like they have rapidly lost a lot of weight, and red fire is streaming and sort of teary streaks down their faces. Um, so give me an attack roll for your cosmic bolt.
Yeah. I shoot the
Yeah, it's
ground.
not great. Um, so just coming off the day of 10,000 fists, maybe Lilifear is just feeling a little overconfident. Maybe Lilifear is surprised by the ferocity of
Mhm.
the response as soon as you try to enter the fray. A hand, two hands try to grab you, and they are burning from fingertip to elbow. And you've seen like fire, people using fire, spiritual energy or magic, and it's sort of like burns above the skin but leaves them intact. Most people are not hurt by their own abilities. These people are clearly burning. But this person still tries to like grab you out of the air. Give me a perception or insight check, your choice. And you can roll with advantage. All right. Uh, who was the least likable of the kids that came this way? I say kids. You're all like teenagers or close to.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, there was one. I mean, he's kind of a bratty, bullyish kid that tended to pick on the others, even unnecessarily. When there was just no reason for it. I always tried to keep him in line, but was not real big on listening to anyone.
So we're gonna literally call them snot. Um, and I think we're gonna call them a. Oh yeah, this is perfect. They're a young loxodon. So they are a sort of
A lot of snot.
yes. Uh, they So I think maybe where this nickname came from, it wasn't necessarily about like a mucusy thing. It's
Mm,
that snot would sort of slur their words sometimes if
mm.
they were being sort of like petty, and someone would be like, um, uh, "Did you do this?" And snot would be like, "Snot me." And eventually, over time, people just started shortening it to snot. Um, um, so you duck out of the way of these burning hands um, when you feel something grab the back of your brand new cloak and pull you to the ground. What do you do?
Ooh. Um, I guess I tried to like roll out of the way and then stand back up real quick just so I can see who's attacking me.
Um, at first, you would think this is a demon. Um, they are scorched all along sort of the periphery. They're still sort of smoldering in places. The eyes are just weeping red fire. The pupils have gone black. And there is a horrible, inhuman maw set between two broken, charred tusks. And you look into the face of you look up to the face of a warped and transformed snot.
Oh, jeez. Of course, yeah, yeah, and recognizing him, I'm like, Snot, Snot, can you hear me? Or yeah, is that you?
Give me a dexterity saving throw, and then give me a persuasion check.
Okay, 16.
Oh no.
What's
Um,
the other thing? Persuasion.
yep. Hope it does better than that.
Gosh. Okay.
All right. Um, you are smashed to the ground. Um, and this huge loxodon mitt, the gray, uh,
Snot. It was Snot did it.
Thanks, not.
the gray loxodon mitt is charred and burning, and hits you like a flaming fly swatter, and just whack takes you to the ground. But I think maybe your attempts to cut through are uh, amplified by your pained exhalation as you smash into the ground. And Snot has just been sort of like huffing and panting and crackling. Like their breathing has like a almost like you're sitting next to a fire pit,
Mm.
and very warped and distorted, almost to the point where you can't hear it. Oh, would they have called you something other than Lilifear?
Uh, well, Snot always, again, being the disrespectful brat he is, always called me Fire Boy.
In this cracked, distorted tone. Fire, boy.
Yes, it's me.
The eyes clear just a little. It's almost like there's like a black liquid in the eyes, and it sort of runs low for a second, and the streaks of fire slow. Hurts.
Do you know where the others are?
Snot is staring at their own hands that are burning and charred. Um, t- taken. And there's a weird moment where Snot's voice snaps into clarity for a second. Um, and he starts to say in that labored voice, taken by. And then his voice just sort of snaps in, their voice snaps in clearly and says, all hail the violet demon. All hail the radiant heavenly demon. And then you see it starting to fade.
So yeah, like no, Snot, come back to me, Snot.
Give me a medicine check. Medicine or Arcana. I feel like it's cruel to keep asking monks for intelligence checks. Well, dang. Oh, I guess medicine. Medicine is wisdom.
Wisdom. Yep.
Snot is going to die, and soon. You can see that whatever this ability is, it is literally burning themselves up to sustain it.
Yep.
Even if Snot doesn't get killed by one of these other fighters, they are probably going to die without some kind of substantial intervention.
Yeah. So yeah, it seems unlikely to bring him back out of it or whatever. And I was kind of slowly suspecting that in the back of my mind, but also thinking, oh well, maybe I can do something here to bring him back. But
I mean, you might have options, and you don't know what the Iron Body Clan or the soldiers might have.
this is true. I could see if any of them. I mean, we are in the middle of a fight right now, so it'd be hard to talk to anyone. But
Yeah, it would probably
I've
not be
heard of it.
like a right this second kind of thing. We can fast
Yeah,
forward a little. Do you want to try and find some kind of aid? I will tell you, it will probably be costly, either
right.
in literal currency or in terms of like debts and favors.
Oh gosh. So after weighing my options, because I know on some level there's that instinct of put them out of their misery if they're going to die anyway, kind of thing. But at the same time, you don't really want to just give up on something. So even even somebody as bratty as Snot deserves a chance. So yeah, I try to ask around and see if anybody knows of anybody having found a way to reverse this condition.
Um, so the battle subsides. Um, I think that I'll make y'all an item for this. You all would have some kind of token as participants slash winners from the day of 10,000 fists. And you would specifically have at least a low grade token from your sect.
Mhm.
Which means that uh, you can probably impose enough on this group to get some help for Snot. A combination of some healing potions, some medicines. It at least slows down whatever this is. Would you rather owe the Iron Body clan or the uh, sort of Verdant Hills military?
I could owe the Iron Body clan.
The leader Barak is surprisingly sympathetic as you try and seek assistance. And is able to provide some items that they have brought that at least get Snot stabilized. The fire goes out, and it's almost worse when the fire goes out because it
Mhm.
leaves these like cracked and bleeding, uh, just scorched trails all over the body. One of the doctors there uses some kind of pressure point technique that essentially puts Snot into sort of a state of hibernation. It slows the flow of spiritual energy through them to the point where their body just falls asleep. What you gather from talking to this group, Barak seems to know what's been happening in this area, having been fighting groups like this recently. Someone has been going around and equipping these low level, sort of nuisance bandit groups with demonic techniques, demon way technique manuals. And when you mention that some of the kids are missing, there's a check made. I'll have you give them names and descriptions later. None of the other kids are found amongst the bandits. And so
Mhm.
Barak tells you that there have been stories from the survivors of groups like this that a figure came and gave them these techniques, and the ones who excelled, just like a tiny handful, were taken away, disappeared somewhere, and not seen again. But it was treated like it was a privilege, an upgrade.
Mhm.
Some of them were even taught like higher level techniques before they were taken away.
Doesn't sound good. Hmm. So yeah, no real idea of where they would have been taken or where this.
You at least have a description. All the folks that you saw here used a purple fire technique. The person who is missing seems to, or the person who this figure seems to have used a purple flame technique, which is much more rare and might be something you can track down. So we'll put a pin in you for a second. Who do you want to jump back into?
Why don't we roll a die?
Sure. Everybody else, give me a d20. So probably not Snicked. Oh, well, maybe. Show Snicked has a 4, Show has a 3. The Silence has a commanding lead with a 7.
I was
Let's
about
see
to say,
where
if we got a 2 and a 1.
where does Ty fall in this?
Oh, hold up, I found it. I'm clearly better than everyone else.
I mean, you got a better than 50% chance of getting higher.
You would think so.
Oops. I actually hit twice. Oh, I got 2.
Double 2s.
I don't know why I hit twice, but yeah.
It's good this wasn't a combat round, guys.
What?
All
This
right.
is a normal.
Everybody
This
immediately,
is a normal combat round, though.
Oh my
Clearly
gosh.
normal.
This is
everybody's dead.
this is real errant trying to roll a skill he was proficient in energy.
Right.
All right, so the Silence with a big 7. So we left the Silence. The Silence had just gained his Psi Crystal Familiar, which had taken to calling itself the Sound. So the Sound and the Silence. What's next?
Well, we get to know each other better.
So we have a little bit of a bonding montage here of you and this sort of bright and happy telepathic crystal. It is worth noting this crystal seems to amplify your telepathic connection, and you are now fully plugged into this telepathic network at the Razor Mind sect. So what you could sense as like a background noise, you're now part of. So it's still not audible, but now you can hear the conversations happening around you and participate through the sound.
I'll take that.
So what kind of bonding activities would you do with the sound?
Well, we go on a walk.
Afloat.
We go on it goes on a float. I walk on the ground. We go climbing. It floats upwards.
It's relentlessly encouraging as you climb. Come on, the Silence. You can do it.
Like, is it like to the degree of
sounds
like
about right.
kind of annoying?
It's right in that gray space. Like it's that in between where like if you've had a good day, it seems like positive, and if you've had a bad day, it might seem negative, or vice versa.
We just I show it bandits. We go out and we found some bandits that are kind of close by, but nothing was red or blue or purple or black flames. Yeah, we don't see any of that.
Yeah, you all just encounter sort of the traditional sorts of bandits. So where does the silence want to go now?
Um, Silas wants to go to like a place to go study the darkness that creeped up on the crystal in his dreams.
All right. So twice now you've sort of experienced these visions of this sort of gray, rubbery skinned creature that was hunting this crystalline figure that is at the heart of the Razormind sect. You've seen it wielding this sort of gray psionic fire. So there would be archives at the Razormind that would potentially have some information, or if you really wanted to go big, there would be Imperial archives in High Crown, like the capital of the Empire.
I think we're heading to the capital.
All right. I made all these random tables, so I'm going to at least have y'all roll on some of them. So give me a D8 roll. Oh, all right. Going big right out of the gate. So this is a pretty long jaunt. The Razormind sect is far to the north, along the mountain range that is sort of the semi-natural barrier that keeps sort of farther northern nations at bay. So you've got a little bit of a haul to get there. It's a couple of months worth of travel. You are probably halfway there. How would the silence be traveling?
By foot is how you start off his travel, and they would be just walking along quietly, just minding their own business, not looking for people with red or purple or black flames, and being kind of aware of his surroundings because of bandits and groups like that, so he doesn't get ambushed.
So I think as you go along, whenever you pass like random people, the sound, like very obnoxiously, is like telling you the surface thoughts of people you walk past. And so like you walk past and it's like the sound is like, that farmer is thinking of a tasty sausage he had this morning. Oh, that guard is thinking about how long this, and there's lots of swear words, shift is taking. There's a merchant with a cart coming the other way, and the sound says, that merchant is thinking of pretty girls. Oh, oh, ooh. Somehow this psi crystal like grits its teeth, like,
Yeah, women are bad.
and the sound is like, I didn't like that. That was unpleasant and disturbing. You catch weird little bits of information. You hear that the Saris clan is still hunting for whoever has killed their young heir. You hear about there was a high level master who supposedly won some like important part of the Day of 10,000 Fists, and then just like left all the rewards and walked away. What else would you hear? That's as much as you get randomly. So you're about halfway there, and let me get us a random table for this. All the books used to be in alphabetical order, and now they're not.
They hate you.
So you're walking along on sort of a beautiful day, and the sky begins to cloud over. As you walk along this road, there's sort of people within sight. You're traveling on a main road. The people around you start to behave oddly. One person just like calmly stops, like they stop their cart, stop their horse, they get off, and then they just sit down in the road and don't say anything. There's a guard who like stabs their spear into the ground and just like walks off the road. Give me a we're gonna call this a charisma saving throw. All right, you got a 6. You hear the sound. Oh, let me double check what your side crystal gives you. Oh, hey, actually, roll with advantage, because this is a charmed / frightened effect. Oh no. So the last thing you hear for a moment is the sound going, "Hey, are you all right? Hey, hey, stay with me, stay," and then nothing. You wake up in a strange place. Let me decide what you find. All around you are clouds. And they obscure your sight of almost anything else. But in your normal vision, the clouds are just sort of gray and white, sort of natural colors. But the sound goes, "That cloud is sad. That cloud is happy. That cloud is very angry. That cloud is," and then the crystal blushes. And sort of attuning your mind, you can see there are these tendrils of cloud around you are like emotionally charged, and they seem to be filling up the space in every direction that you can see. What do you want to do?
Well, can I? So all I see is clouds. They're emotionally charged clouds. So first thing when I wake up, I'm gonna check for pants.
You have pants, and there are no additional pants.
Alright, so I'm still wearing my pants. It's good enough for me. I look down.
You look where?
Down.
Down. All right. You're definitely standing on something.
It's good enough for me. I can work with that.
I can be more specific than that. It seems to be solid ground. Give me a perception check. Nice. With your acute mind, you are able to discern that something about this space looks wrong. Like the lighting up beyond the clouds doesn't make sense with where you were. And the ground beneath you is it doesn't have enough detail, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't seem to convey that it is either like a natural sort of earth that you're standing on, or that you're like inside somewhere. It has a weird too flatness to it. The closest thing your mind could probably come up with would be like a perfectly swept floor, of like beautifully polished stone or something. But even that would not be quite this perfect and featureless. What are you going to do?
Can I communicate with the clouds?
Well, let's see. Give me a look at your abilities here. If you're going to emotionally connect with the clouds, I'm going to call this either a let's just call this a wisdom check. Whew. It's not a great. Oh, actually, hey, something to get used to. Your psi crystal is a familiar. When it's not doing something else, it can give you the help action. So go ahead and roll that with advantage. I have to be fair because I relentlessly abused that on my last two of my last three PCs. So, with a 17, you pick up some things. The clouds don't seem to be creatures. And they don't seem to be like projected from a creature. There's no trace of like memory or will. It's almost like they are pure distilled emotion, just sort of wafting through the air. And you're able to sort of resonate with them. They want to connect with you. It's actually harder to stop it from overwhelming you, but you're able to sort of lock in these mental defenses that you've built up. Just a funny thing, three of you have had a cat in frame, but not at the same time. And so it gives this funny impression that like the same cat is wandering from one to the other.
That's
I
exactly
mean,
what's happening.
we've been sharing a cat. If you didn't know. Oh,
Oh,
Aaron,
no, four of
Asher
you.
Brian got a cat.
Oh, so
I also know where my cat's at.
so you're able to sort of tap into these emotions. You realize you've got some options. With a sufficient mental blow, you could probably disperse one of these clouds. if you put some energy behind it, you could probably sort of knock multiple ones out of your way. Alternatively, you get the impression that these could be very powerful, sort of natural tools to amplify your mental energy if you wanted to attempt to tame them.
Or study them.
If you were able to like get to a sort of safe space, you might be able to sort of turn around and check them out. Where you're at though, you're sort of like the shark biologist in the cage with like 30 sharks circling around you.
Yeah, it'd be like that. That sounds like a Tuesday to me.
All right. So what do you want to how do you want to study them? What do you want to do here?
Um, how do I want to study them? I guess watch how they interact with each other and feel and try and see if I can mimic their energies or figure out how to better connect with them so they could teach me and show me their energies as well.
All right. In that case, give me an investigation check, and you can have advantage if the sound is going to help you.
Sound is going to help me.
You're catching the traces of something. There is an insight here. If you were to be able to focus on it, and especially if you were to be able to revisit it, you might be able to understand more. One thing you catch, though, there is another thing in this space. You sense another presence other than these clouds of emotional energy. It's not quite a person. It's it's hard to say what it is.
Will I be able to investigate the other entity there?
Yeah. Give me a fresh check.
Breast investigation?
Yep. Still with advantage. Nice. All right, that's a 20. With a dirty 20, you're able to. It's almost like there is a flow to this room. Like the emotional energy is sort of emerging at one point and dissipating at another. And you're able to kind of reconstruct the way that the clouds are moving through the room, the source of the energy, the way they're connecting. You get the impression that the space you're in is A, creating these clouds, and B, seems to be, if not perhaps alive, then something eerily close to it.
All right. And can I does it look like I could walk and figure out where it is coming from? Or am I like just on a pedestal where I can only look?
So you're able to move around, and sifting the clouds away takes a little bit of effort, but you're able to kind of walk a little bit. And you realize that this space doesn't make sense. And the more that you kind of don't see anything other than these clouds, it occurs to you that this might be some kind of extra dimensional or sort of like constructed space. I can't
So
tell
I'm
if
in
he's.
a
Oh, your video froze. Oh, there you go. What did you say?
yeah. So I'm in more of a constructed space in like an alternate dimension. Alrighty, alrighty. Um, can the crystal sense what the maker is thinking, or
Uh,
what is?
yeah, I think once you sort of pointed out to the sound, um, the sound is like seems thoughtful for a minute, and it's sort of like pivoting around in space, even though there aren't like eyes on it, but it's almost like it's turning so it can see better. Um, and it says, "Oh, huh, this this feels like me, but not like me. Like less, but also more." I I think that we could get out of here if we wanted to.
All right. But we're here. I wonder if we could learn the powers to create our own clouds to hide in.
I I think this might be. Can you try to open your ring?
Yeah.
The ring won't open. I think we're inside something. Something that's bigger inside than outside.
Do you think we can communicate with it?
I think so. Uh, if you, I think if you tell it to open, I might be able to help you. The sound is still sort of floating around, like kind of looking in different directions, and you see the whole crystal sort of like cocked to the side, like it's like thinking about things.
Well, the silence swallows his pride and says the magic word open.
All right, let's call this a. We're just going to call it a proficient intelligence check. So, roll like investigation or a mind knife attack with advantage.
You want investigation?
Yeah.
Advantage? Oh, yes.
Nice. So you are sort of guided by the sound. In these months that you've spent together, you realize that like in some important way, the sound is embedded in a sort of psionic space in your brain. There are places where your sort of mental circuitry overlaps. And you feel that very strongly because it's like the sound shows you a pattern, or almost more like a it constructs a pattern and sort of nudges you to push energy through it. And as you sort of activate it, the sound starts to hum, and you hear it sort of like rising through octaves until it hits a certain pitch. And at different lower pitches, all the clouds started acting weird. Like suddenly they like contracted and then expanded and then like twisted into weird helix shapes. At one point, they suddenly became like fantastical creatures, and then at another point they became like horrible aberrant shapes with like tentacles and mouths and eyes. And then finally it hits, and you can tell it hits the perfect pitch, and all of the clouds snap together. They condense to a point, and instead of clouds, there are perfect floating crystals scattered around this sort of mostly empty space. But now that the clouds are gone, you can actually see. It almost looks like you can see the facets from the inside. You seem to be inside a crystalline shaped space. And there's just like one more interval, and you feel the space open and release you back out into the world. You wake up in a cart, sort of bouncing down the road, and you have the sound is sort of like tucked up against your chest, and in one hand you have like a death grip around this beautiful clear crystal. What do you want to do?
Well, I checked to see. Well, I talked to the cart driver, the person driving the cart.
As soon as you stir, they turn around. Oh, hey, good to see getting up back there.
Ask him what happened.
Oh, there were. Well, I heard about it from everybody after. I rolled up and there were people just laying in the road or wandering around. There was one lady singing a song. Everybody was being pretty strange. And then everything cleared and people started waking up and getting up and everybody except you was up and on their feet. So I thought I'd get you a little further down the road.
All right. Well, I thank the cart driver and give him 2 pieces of gold for his kind offering.
Oh, I really appreciate that. So you have a strange crystal, and you're about 2/3 of the way to the Imperial capital.
Well, I would like to investigate the crystal.
All right. So from the outside, you're not sure exactly what this is, but you at least get the impression it is in some way similar to the ring of storage that you have, but at a much more complicated level. Your ring of storage is like a, I don't know what's a good comparison here. Your ring of storage is like a calculator, and this is like a supercomputer. It's just like a whole different magnitude. If you want to poke at it more, you can give me an Arcana check.
And will the crystal be helping me?
Sure. I always like to be helpful. So you have heard before of storage rings that scaled up and up and up until they were less about storing things and were actually more like self contained spaces. They are very rare, highly prized, especially by masters of particular styles, because sometimes these rings are, or these devices, grant access to special spaces. One of the most common ones you've heard of is like a portable garden. So people who cultivate like rare and unusual magical plants. But you've also heard of like training rooms, of workshops, but they're pretty rare. You have no idea why this one seems to have accosted you in the road, but you at least, your guess would be that this opens to some kind of pocket space inside. You would also, with that roll, think that that space probably was creating the clouds somehow. There seems to be some kind of like mental, emotional, psionic something ingrained into the space. Whatever it is, it probably didn't find you by accident.
All right. I'm just curious why it decided to pick me out of everyone that survived the day of 10,000 Fist, or just everyone.
it's hard to say if it's actually related directly to the Day of 10,000 Fists. It seems like it might have the sort of energy of it reminds you more specifically of the sect.
All right. So I know how to get out of it. I gotta figure out how to get back into it.
Um, Give me a wisdom saving throw.
All right, buddy. You ready to help me with one more time?
I good question. You can't get help on a saving throw, unfortunately.
It's all right.
With an 11, you manage to catch yourself as you sort of think, I wonder how to get back inside. You almost feel like a suction, like trying to pull you back into the space. You get the impression you could get back in pretty easily, and now that you know how, you could probably get back out pretty easily.
Well, all right. Do I have any leather?
Do you have any leather?
Yeah.
You would have like some bags and things if you wanted to do something with it.
Turn it to a necklace.
Yeah. Um, well, here's what I'll say. Uh, you'll probably have to like buy that, just because like you can put it in a bag. Um, you'd have to get it like fitted and mounted, but it'd be something easy to do once you got to town.
All right.
All right. Um, so we will pan away from you on your way um, to the capital. Let's jump in with somebody else for a little while. I guess I can look back at who was the next highest of those abysmal rolls.
Oh, it was Snicked. He had a 4.
Uh, all right, Snicked.
Yo.
So I thought I would give you some little bits of info that we didn't really play out, but you probably would have gleaned. Well, here's what we'll do. Go ahead and start off with an intelligence check.
Uh-oh.
This is to see how much you learned, sort of passively, while you were hanging out with this group.
I learned 7 worth of things.
So there's some things that you couldn't possibly have missed. Grandfather is definitely like a martial master of some kind. Also, grandfather could just be really strong, but there is something specifically like draconic about grandfather that I think as a kobold would be hard for you to miss.
Absolutely.
You noticed that everyone was like weirdly okay with eating your like candied bug snacks. On more than one occasion, you saw, because you were traveling with like 9 or 10 of these family members. There was grandfather. There were the 2 surviving kids from the Day of 10,000 Fists.
Fresh
And-
meat.
Yeah. And you did eventually pick up that their names are Cord and Pitha. Cord had the like the long sword, and Pitha had the twin short swords. Their parents were there, respectively, or at least like one or two from each. And there was a third named Offie. And Offie is the one who died during the Day of 10,000 Fists. And Cord has been carrying Offie's broken sword.
Right.
They are weird about weapons. The way that they are handling this sword, the fragments of this sword, something's odd about it for sure. It doesn't just feel like it's like a memento. There's something extra there. On multiple occasions, you've also seen them. You've seen people who like weren't holding a weapon, and then suddenly had a weapon. There was probably some like training going on for the kids as you all traveled. Grandfather would lead some sessions, even for like the older people. And you saw that people always had the same weapons, and they seemed to be able to just pull them from nowhere. And with a 7, that's probably all you got.
Hammer space.
Yep.
Which is something that Snicked somehow knows.
Yep. I mean, actually, Hammer Space would be like very in keeping with the vibes here, because it'd just be storage ring. Like, it's like, oh, of course they have a storage ring.
Yeah.
Whether Snicked would think to see if they actually had a storage ring is a different question.
Everybody's wearing rings, right?
Yep.
Don't need to look and confirm that.
So you mentioned wanting to find some better defensive equipment.
Yes.
With the amount of gold you have, and random, that should be easy to take care of. Scrolling back through multiple D&D threads we have. Yeah, so what form of defense would Snicked look for?
Well, that depends. How many rings can a person wear?
So the smaller rings are. You could have quite a few. I'll say that. I would think that if you have more than like 5. Yeah, I would say if you have like more than 5, they start to interfere with each other, and maybe
Right.
like the more powerful storage you have, the more likely they are to interfere. But those little rings are not terribly hard to come up with.
Okay. Yeah, I think Snicked is just looking for anything that'll boost his natural armor. And
Oh, okay. So you're looking for like a ring of protection.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So the next like city that you get to, how would Snicked go about finding a source for this?
Honest answer, probably just aimless wandering, following the crowds.
I mean, I guess it'd be worth noting, Snick does have kind of like a vendor background.
Right.
So your aimless wandering is better than most.
Purposefully aimless.
Give me like a survival check with advantage.
Okay. Okay, not bad.
Oh, yeah. With a 17. Yeah. You sort of aimlessly wander your way and find a stand. No, this would be nicer. you wander your way to the front of like a really nice, like, it's not quite an auction house, but it has that sort of energy. It is a
Okay.
place where like high end products are traded. People moving in and out look very either wealthy or connected or powerful or all of the above.
I fit right in.
Well, you can see that there are like elaborate, beautiful displays with clearly magical items. Are you going to head inside?
Yes. Going to confidently step inside and attempt to snap my fingers, snap my claws to gain the attention of one of the vendors.
That's got to be persuasion with disadvantage.
Oh,
Ooh,
burned a 20.
jeez. That's brutal. So you manage to draw someone's attention, but they are immediately like, who is this tiny person who does not look like they should be here? What in the world are they wearing? What would be like, I'll let you decide. For like a random, like, sort of bougie person, what would be the most off putting thing about Snicked?
Oh, definitely the uncured leather that he is currently wearing as a shirt.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. Um, Definitely is not a good vibe. Um, so this attendant is um, um, what's something fun? Oh, so this attendant is a very human looking tiefling. Their sort of fiendish features are very subtle, and this man sort of looks down his nose at you and has like a little like half pair of spectacles and says, "Young sir, I do not believe you are in the correct establishment. I'm going to have to ask you to leave."
No, this looks like the right place.
I'm afraid you'll likely find that most items here are perhaps a bit out of your price range.
What, like 20,000 gold or something?
Well, we do have many particularly fine pieces that can fetch that or more. But this is certainly not even the least expensive items in here are still of such quality that they would fetch hundreds of gold.
Only hundreds? Man, maybe I am in the wrong place.
Give me a fresh person. I'll let you decide. Is this persuasion or intimidation?
I'll go with persuasion.
All right. So roll it with advantage.
All right, so that first one was an 11. We'll take the 11. Right, no, 12.
All right.
Numbers.
So you've caught their interest, but I think you're going to have to do something to hook them.
I think Snicked is just confused, like, wait, how much money do I have again? So he reaches to his ring and pops it open and probably gets buried by a mountain of gold.
Yeah, you cause like a brief shower of gold to just like clunk, 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 fall to the ground. Um, and then you start to like, you cause like a brief shower of gold to just like clunk, 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 fall to the ground. And then you start to like, you cause like a brief shower of gold to just like clunk, 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 fall to the ground. And then you start to like, you cause like a brief shower of gold to just like clunk, 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 fall to the ground. And mixed in are like snacks you were saving for later, and like random stuff from your pack, and but most definitely a large amount of gold. And
Did not mean to do that.
the man is like, "Oh, oh, forgive me. It's been a long day, and I was not as astute as I usually am. How can we help you, sir?"
Oh, this is where Snake's -1 to intelligence is going to be fun. Trying his best to sound cultured. I am looking for an item to improve upon my re- reciprocity. Make me tougher. I won't get hurt less.
Oh, of course, sir. There is, even though it's not like the most like beautiful phrasing, you have flashed a lot of money. He doesn't care anymore. You're not sure.
He is actually, you know, lots of money and not very smart. He's probably got gold coins in his eyes.
Yeah, this guy is certainly in some way on commission. And he says, "Oh yes, we have many fine things to improve one's resilience. We have many important customers who take their physical well being very seriously, and so over the years we have invested in many fine pieces which might assist an individual in protecting themselves in such a way. What sort of item are you seeking?"
Oh, I guess the kind doesn't really matter that much. A ring, maybe a cloak. You got any earrings?
I am looking at their list of stuff. I don't know why I bothered to look at both of those, because obviously they would be the same. Go ahead and roll a luck check for me.
Okay, that's just a straight D20.
Yep.
Okay, 13.
With a 13. Yeah, on a 13, they have both a fine ring of protection, which has a very sort of understated design, but he sort of brings it out on like a little pillow. And if you look closely at it, when you get close to it, it seems to respond to your key, and like little etchings along the inside band light up, and there's sort of a hum from it.
If it says anything in the dark tongue, I'm not taking it.
You would recognize it as sort of formation magic. This thing pulls spiritual energy in a way that creates a defensive barrier. Oh yes, this fine ring will protect you from all manner of harm, and you could walk away with it today for only 4,000 gold.
Only. All right. 1, 2, 3,
You
4.
see him start sweating bullets, like, and just like summoning up a greed fueled patience, and just like you see
You
him
probably
go,
have scales, don't you?
"What?"
You probably have scales, don't you?
Yes, yes. And actually, it's like a scale, but it has almost like an unseen servant effect to it, and it's able to sort of rapidly like sift through the money, pull out exactly the right amount, and then it stacks everything else back in like neat little matching piles of gold with all of the other items arranged around it.
Oh, hey, I was looking for that.
Was that the last bite of the false boar spider candied bacon?
Yes, yes, it was.
The Again, you just see like a scream behind this guy's eyes, just like, okay. Well, are there any other things we might help you with? We also consider ourselves at the forefront of valuable information, or perhaps access to unique artisans or potentially techniques which might be useful.
Hmm. Do you have anything that can make me run fast?
Running fast.
Get my walking speed up to like 90.
Oh gosh. Go ahead and give me another luck check.
Luck check. 9.
I think what they've got is boots of striding and springing on hand. But what he'll offer is they have sort of professional connections with artisans sort of all over, and there is a sort of master artisan who would be well equipped to produce something more extravagant, if you were willing to seek them out. They could write you a recommendation.
Sounds fantastic. Oh, what does striding and springing do again?
Striding and springing, your speed can't be reduced below 30 feet per turn, and your jump speed is tripled.
Oh. Oh, no, I wanted to take away the money, not add more money. How much do those boots run?
He checks some kind of ledger, just like I do. Let's see. So, how much do you have left now?
4,500.
He says, well, technically, we would only be permitted to part with such an item for no less than 5,000 gold. They're in high demand. However, an individual such as yourself might potentially have items to offer in kind.
Items to offer in kind. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Do you take poison?
It would not be the most unusual thing that we have ever accepted in trade here. There are many quite respectable practitioners of the poison way who are always interested in such items.
This one is labeled wyvern poison.
Yes. So let's roll. Roll 3d4.
Is this my haggle attempt?
Yep. Actually, I'll go ahead and roll an extra d4 for me.
All right, if I can get another 3, that would be amazing. Aw.
He's willing to knock 1,000 gold off in exchange for the wyvern poison.
Sold.
All right. And he disappears into the back with all of this gold, and comes back with a note that has been sort of scrawled and then pressed with some kind of seal, and then binds it up with a ribbon and hands it to you, and is going to send you off. I will tell you the name and location later when I come up with them.
Okay.
We can maybe figure that out off camera.
Yeah.
Let's try and hit one more person. So toss up between Show and Ty.
You think each will take? We can do the shorter one.
Ty is probably going to be a lot. If you'll remember, we left Ty standing over a crowd of kneeling Demon Way warriors, proclaiming him as. Let me find the name. They were proclaiming him as the King of Night's Flame. So that's probably going to take up the rest of our session tonight.
Okay, do that, and then I can do mine another time if that'll take the whole session.
All right. So we left Ty mid combat. So, Ty, you discovered after your period of isolated training that the Heavenly Radiance demon cult had gone on a rampage because one of their young princes was killed during the Day of 10,000 Fists. They have both been rampaging generally and also specifically hunting low-level fighters from the Day of 10,000 Fists. You joined up with some other warriors and set out to join sort of suppression efforts to push back this demonic cult. You had a lot of victories against sort of lower-ranking members of the cult, and in the background, you've been studying all of these demon cult items that you retrieved from this black flame wielder. Now you have lost half of your sort of comrades of your party, a Zen archer and a formation master, respectively, who have been cut down in a pitched battle with a powerful demonic practitioner who wields violet flames. You were not having a great time fighting her, and you decided to sort of switch on several of these demonic artifacts, which has caused them to fall to their knees and proclaim you as the King of Night's Flame. And that's literally where we stopped. So, what in the world is Ty doing now?
I am processing this, and I am now trying to think of a new plan to at least, save my other two comrades. Maybe this would be their major slap on the wrist that they should quit this profession or go somewhere else. I'm also thinking of, maybe this is my time to start my own demon cult to take out other demon cults. Like, we don't really mess with other people on the outside. We're technically actually good, but we do bad by trying to kill all the bad guys. All the other demon cults, like it's a tie thing.
So, that's your long-term plans. What does Ty do right now?
Oh, Ty's feeling like his speech is coming on.
I will remind you, you have the ebony and bone emblem, which is specifically designed for a situation like this and can give you not just advantage, but also potentially trigger some magical abilities if your rolls are good.
Yeah, if they're good. So far all night, no one's rolls have been good.
This is true.
Well, I as I stand there looking at the all the kneeling before me, what does this emblem do?
Basically, it gives you advantage on charisma skill checks against creatures below a certain challenge rating, which in this case is CR 11 because it's a very high ranking emblem. Also, if you succeed on a charisma ability check against them, you can cast Charm Person on them if they're at any level. If they're particularly low level, you can use Dominate Person to fully control them, or Mass Suggestion to mess with a lot of people at once. And when you use this on creatures from the demonic way, they fail their saving throws against those effects automatically.
I'm thinking of doing the mass charm.
All right. So what are you doing or saying?
So upon this, I move to higher ground so that they all can properly see me in my proper demon cult attire.
You
I
like
proclaim, "Rise,
you
my
like
minions!"
whoosh dramatically through the air, trailing purple black fire.
Oh, of course. And
It's
I stand and I go, "Rise, my minions! They have not known me before, but you shall know me afterwards. Today marks a new turn of your lives. You're going to follow me into combat. We are the true number one demon cult. The others will be nothing once we are done. Follow me for great power and rewards, for we will take out all demon cults and be the number one. No more you're gonna be low level. No more will you be number twos. No more will you be pitter fodder, cannon fodder. Nah, you're gonna walk with me. We're gonna walk a path of power and awesomeness, slaying all demon cults who dare oppose us, who dare to think they are better than us and more powerful than us.
so at first there's some confusion of like, wait, what did he say we're doing? But as you hit some of those high points, the grunts start to like cheer, like yeah, yeah. Give me an is this? I'll let you decide because this could just as easily be deception, persuasion, or intimidation. So pick one and roll it with advantage.
Persuasion, intimidation. Wow, they are all +0.
Oh boy.
We're gonna go with persuasion. It sounds the best. Oh, baby.
Oh,
At 20.
all right. Not just a nat 20, a 17 and a nat 20. um, Amplified by the magic of this emblem and this demonic cloak and this demonic mask and this black flame technique that you really shouldn't have learned, but that ship's already sailed. You know it now. All of
Yeah.
these items are sort of singing together in harmony, and this aura of black flame around you flares up. It forms something, some kind of intimidating shape or form. What is it? What does it swell up into?
Oh. I say, you know what? It's going to swell up into our new emblem. I haven't thought of what it looks like yet, but it's going to be like our new emblem, our distinct token of our new demon cult.
All right. So this symbol burns with black fire in the air, and the whole crowd is cheering. So mass suggestion. This lasts for 24 hours, and you can suggest a course of action that sounds reasonable. So you can, it's like a sentence or two. So over and above what you've said, what specific things do you want them to do?
First, we got to start making camp. We gotta start prepping. We need to find permanent. We need to find a castle. Like a castle, like like high up in a mountain, like surrounded by lightning type castles. We need something to intimidate us.
I will remind you, you do have two companions who are going to be killed if you don't say something in particular about them.
Understandable. They are with me. They'll be beside me. They're fine. It might not be demon cults, but they are with me.
This is going to be a persuasion check with disadvantage, not for the cult members, but for your party members who have no idea what the heck is going on.
This one's not gonna be a good one. I got 11. And another not 20, but 11. Well, I get them in private, so I don't have to like blow my cover with this demon cult.
So, I guess here's my question. Who are you deceiving in this situation? Like,
Honestly, I'm kind of deceiving everyone.
well, like, it doesn't sound like you're lying about starting a new demon cult. Like, you're making plans.
Oh, for sure. Like I'm not lying about that. Mostly, I'm deceiving the other two. Well, try to persuade the other two to either stick with me or not rat me out while I'm still forming the cult and a little weak because I don't have as many members. It's either join us. They don't have to become demon cults, but they can join us and continue on with the fun escapades of killing other demon cult members, if not converting them to us.
So, on an 11, they are really grateful that they're not dead. And you've built up a bit of a rapport with them. They're not going to go like immediately like call the army or something. Like, I mean, you all were the anti-demonic forces in this area, so there's no one to come after you other than them. So they readily agree to just sort of go their own way.
Almost brings a tear to my eyes. I'll miss them.
I kind of think they're taking a wait and see approach. If you are serious about going after the other like fragments of the demonic cult, they might eventually come on board with that. But it's very hard for them to say whether you lied to them or to the demon cult people.
I probably lied to them the most. I mean, I haven't lied enough to so they didn't know I was studying the demon cult stuff in the first place.
So all of the grunts, so the swordsman and the spiritualist, they gather the remains of the other two, and they sort of book it out of there. Your aura is permeating this space. There's like flickering black fire, like motes of it dancing in the air for about 100 feet in any direction from you. And sort of in that space, all of these grunts are just like, yeah, yeah. And they're like grabbing stuff and making plans. And you can actually see that like some of those black flame sparks like land on them and like stick to them. And you can like see your influence laying heavily on them. The woman with the purple fire, it's not exactly the same. Your mass suggestion wasn't big enough to hit someone of her level. But you got a nat 20. And she's an opportunist. She does sort of the femme fatale of like, so you're starting your own demonic cult, huh? And she's like whispering this like over your shoulder, like leaning from behind you. I don't owe the rest of them anything. In fact, there's some of them that I wouldn't mind seeing dead. If you don't get us all killed, maybe something will come of this. And she just sort of like walks away and is like organizing the rest to get stuff done. And instantly they're like better organized, grabbing the things they need, making the right kinds of plans. And you have taken your first step towards becoming a Demon Way master yourself. Oh, one thing for our sort of omniscient narrator viewpoint. The woman says, my apprentice and I will see where this goes. And there, you notice there is a younger person sort of trailing behind them. Lilifear, who would you say of the missing kids from your group had the most sort of potential and talent as a person?
Oh, there was one that showed some proficiency with fire manipulation, anyways, and even had like fiery red hair, and yeah, a bit of a hothead sometimes, but had a very good heart about him.
You see that she has her arm around this this young fire genasi man. Looks like he's maybe 13 or 14. This sort of red flame hair, but now at the edges of it there are flickers of purple, and the eyes have sparks of purple in them. And we see Lilifear's missing friend and compatriot walking under the gaze and sort of maternal arm of the Violet Demon Way master. Let's try and squeeze in just a little bit of show tonight. So we left show moving from fighting the demonic cult with fighting bandits who were apparently manipulated by the demonic cult. You were wrapping up with Barak, the halfling iron body commander slash raging barbarian. He had spoken a lot about the necessity of violence. And basically laying out the case that sometimes violence just has to happen and it sucks and it's bad, but the alternative is worse. And this has been sort of the conversations you've had. But you've been sent along to the next point on your sort of pilgrimage. There is an order of monastics um, that have this very uh, simple temple, um, in sort of an isolated peak of a mountain. It's a good distance from where you're at currently, but apparently one of their young leaders has been targeted for assassination. And your next sort of assignment is to go and be their bodyguard. So how is Sho sort of feeling about that?
Um,
Thank goodness you were actually there. I should have checked before I said
like,
all that.
uh, I'm here. Um, I think Show is kind of he's okay with it. Um, Not necessarily excited, but sort of stoic. He knows that Bartoon gave him these tasks, these people to meet with for a reason, and he after everything that he went through, after everything he saw the demonic cult do, and uh, he's for the moment okay with violence again. He's sort of siphoned off a little bit of uh what's the halfling's name?
Barak.
Barak. He sort of siphoned off a little bit of his rage, but it might be a little misplaced. Um Maybe more rage at himself because he's still confused, but stoically going to do these things.
All right. Um, so you do have some information. Uh, just sort of the barest hints here. There is a uh, so this group, this monastic group. Did I say the name a moment ago? I don't think I did. I think I said Simple Temple and got distracted. This is the Temple of the White Mountain Hand. And you've heard of them before. They're not a large group, and they're not necessarily directly influential, but they're very respected as sort of like spiritual leaders. When they talk, people generally, at least, are interested in what they're going to say. But they don't tend to say a whole lot. But apparently, one of their young leaders, sort of an up and coming of the next generation, has weighed in on some issues that are happening where one of the regional lords and this sort of large merchant company have been engaging in a variety of sketchy and untoward practices. And because this young monk has spoken out about this publicly several times, there are apparently assassins that have been sent to kill them.
He's spoken out against his own temple?
No, so this is the temple is in a region. Um, Watch me go for names, and all the names I go for are ones that I don't have names for. Um, yep, that's how we're doing it. Oh, hey, I found the family that I was missing earlier. Uh, so this is a branch family of the Halpid family in the Barrier Peaks. Um, and sort of a distant set of like a distantly related noble has basically been using their authority to favor this trading company, and basically like monopolizing trade of like essential goods. It's caused like food prices to skyrocket. It's caused a lot of instability. It's indirectly created a lot of like banditry, a lot of just sort of violence and issues in this area. And so this monk has basically sent letters that have denounced these groups. And they have used some of the money that they have made to hire people to go kill him so that other people won't do the same thing.
Okay, yeah, not a problem. Uh, I would,
You are wood.
yeah, I will. Um, is he traveling somewhere, or am I just staying with him?
So he is still based out of now a branch of the temple. They have a small sort of isolated uh, branch that is farther out of the limelight, and it's not clear if he's been sent there to protect him or to get him to shut up. But from the information you have, he spends most of his time at that branch, but there are certain sort of religious duties.
Okay, and I mean, how long have I been hired to protect him then?
You don't actually know. You've gotten the impression that Barthune has put together this sort of quasi pilgrimage, like mercenary itinerary for you. But like your time with Barack ended with like a courier showing up, so you're not actually sure how long you're gonna have to deal with this person.
Okay, but I'm just there with him. I'm not escorting him somewhere or anything like that.
From the description, there are certain duties that he will have to carry out that will bring him down into like other areas. Not like not like long trips for the most part, but day to day being out of this temple and sort of out in the villages
But he would always return to that temple at night.
most of
Like
the time.
everything, generally speaking, is within like a day's walk.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd go there and at first I would talk to him about his schedule and what sort of things he needs to do, get a better understanding of that, and then hopefully I would arrive at a time where he didn't need to leave, and I would be able to sort of scout out around his temple a bit, just making notes of like places where it might be easy to sneak in, or places that are better well protected. That if there's an attack, we could you know hold up in this, make a defensible position, stuff like that.
So this figure is introduced to you as Sub Abbot Own, but they don't refer to themselves that way. They just oof, introduce themselves as Own. It's a I should just use a random generator. They are a dark elf. Dark elf man, uh, shaved head, very sort of unlined face, both from sort of elven longevity, but also you realize immediately this person has this almost like superhumanly serene disposition. I think in some of your early conversations, like someone runs up with some emergency, some like minor emergency for them, and they just respond in the most like calm and it's always pleasant, but it's almost sort of it's like they're not like blown about by what's happening around them. Go ahead and give me an investigation check. This will be you sort of scouting the place out.
Okay, and while I do that, in this world, are there any notions about dark elves? Not that Show would have any, but
No,
for people who may want to attack him purposes.
no. For the most part, this is something we haven't talked about. For the most part, like there are so many different like ancestries and lineages here, and some of them are so off the wall that there's really no animosity towards anybody in particular. Now, people might hate like a certain clan, like like oh, your great great grandfather or the grand master of your temple 3 generations ago did this or that. But just in terms of like a random group, nah.
Okay. Was just curious because, like I said, in case people who might hate him, other than for what he says. But I rolled a 13 investigation.
So you do a pretty thorough job. On the one hand, it's a very simple layout. It's sort of a walled compound, a good distance up a mountain. There's sort of like a large, flatter area that has been sort of expanded, and some of the stone has been shaped to make room for buildings and things that sort of back up to the mountain. So the good news is it's pretty well isolated to begin with. Now the flip side is it's not a mountain fort. I think that on some level you would be comparing it with like the Iron Body Clan fort. Totally different. The walls are only like 10 feet tall. A lot of people in this world could just straight up jump over them. The gates sit wide open 99% of the time. You hear that like if they heard that there was like a bear wandering through the mountains or something, they would close the gate, but otherwise it just sits open day and night. You do identify that when the sub abbot leaves the mountain, they're even more vulnerable because they go and travel through all the nearby villages. Mechanically, even though they are a monastic, this is not a monk. This is more like a cleric.
Yeah, you were saying that last time. Um, I guess with that, I knowing that there's just not this isn't a super place to be defensive, to set up a defense. I guess I would just tell him that I need to be near him at all times. Um, make sure he's okay with me like sleeping, not that I sleep, but powering down in his room so that I can always be watching, stuff like that. And I'd also ask if he has any vices, uh, something I need to be aware of. Like does he go out and drink or gamble or anything like that? Something where he would be vulnerable.
So go ahead and give me an insight check.
Again, a nat 1, a 4.
Uh, he is so serene that he is hard to follow. Like, Show doesn't have a ton of interpersonal experience, and I would guess you've maybe found it easier to interact with people who have big emotions and big emotes, like people who really convey how they're feeling. He doesn't seem to. His modes seem to be like gentle concern, placid serenity, and just occasionally warm smile. And that's it. So he tells you that he couches it in sort of theological language, something like, we are all imperfect, working our way towards perfection, but none of the things that you name, and nothing like in particular comes to mind. And if you press him, he will like list things that are like maybe technically vices, but most people wouldn't think about. Like,
Mostly
getting.
just, I was mostly just wondering, like, is there a time or something where he would be vulnerable, or where he might try to sneak out and do something that he doesn't want other people to know about? So this is all fine.
So it's not sneaking out, but his one of his like things that he won't compromise on is that he basically makes rounds through all of the villages nearby. That's part of his duties, and he's going to go.
Yeah, that what I but I as long as he's okay with me coming with him,
Yeah.
like I don't want him doing something where he wants to go do it alone.
No, as far
If
as you
that
can
makes
tell, there's really no sense of secrecy at all. This person just seems surface value is what you see.
Well, with that then, show would probably start very on duty, day to day. You know,
Before you get too deep, he would
yeah.
have one request of you.
Oh, okay, go.
He doesn't want you to kill anyone who tries to kill him.
Uh, show would probably not say anything to that. Um, being a training dummy, I don't imagine his face really has expressions. So I would just kind of stare at him blankly, I guess. But I would just after a moment I would just nod and say okay. But that would give me a lot to think about. Um, and as I said, I would go through. I would start, day to day being very serious and on task. Um, and like any job, uh, where you do the same thing over and over again and nothing seems to happen, I would gradually, I wouldn't say let my guard down, but become less serious. Um, over the course of those few days, I would be thinking about why he doesn't want me to kill people who are trying to kill him. Um, and I would be following him around village to village, and trying to listen to what he says, trying to glean why he doesn't want that, what his perspective on the world is. And after a few weeks, I would ultimately ask him, in a time where we're alone together, why is it you want to spare those who would kill you?
Why would my life be more valuable than theirs?
Joe would think about it for a moment, and he would say, I don't necessarily think your life is more valuable, but they wish to do harm in this world, and you seem to wish to do nothing but good. Why should their actions be rewarded with kindness? If anything, you should be having, they should show you mercy.
I'm not sure that kindness and mercy are the most important categories. If my life continues, despite the urgings of my imperfect will, who is to say to what depths a person might fall? And conversely, who's to say how far a person might rise? One who wields their weapon to destroy today might plant a field tomorrow. One who heals today might harm in the future.
Um, Once again, everything this man says, show takes his time to kind of think it over. Um, it's clear from watching this man that the people he interacts with all seem to have a certain respect for him, and he definitely seems to be a genuine and good person who deserves that respect. And he is earning it from show as well, and he takes what he says seriously. Um, but show is still confused, especially after being, uh, gosh, what is the halfling's name again? Bo-
Barak.
Bartoon and Barak. I keep wanting to say the other one. Especially after being with Barak, um, and really truly believing that violence was necessary in that situation. Um, yeah. So I would show would just straight up ask him. So, do you think that violence is unnecessary? Uh, why have you hired me to protect you if violence isn't needed?
Well, to be honest, I didn't hire you. I was. He doesn't do like air quotes, but he says I was promoted to this position of sub abbot on this mountain. But these things were decided apart from me. Of course, I don't want to die. I hope that perhaps some unforeseen good might yet come out of this collision of circumstances.
Um, what what do you think of me and people like me? Uh, mm, with all the and show means that with all the implications it is. The Iron Clan, mercenaries, him himself, um, people who make a living off of violence.
I think there are many ways in the world there are not every calling, not every way leads to the same place. I must confess that I don't understand the calling that you have. But if I to understand my own way would be an enlightenment that people spend their whole lives seeking, to be able to comprehend it for another would be impossible.
Before I came to protect you, I was on another mission where I saw a group of people doing terrible, awful, awful things. I true at the time, I didn't believe they could be redeemed. Or if they could, that it would take too long and they would do more unspeakable evils. And I killed them. Do you think it's possible for violence to be necessary or even the right thing in some circumstances?
I think that our wisdom in our present world are always imperfect. That what should be and what are sometimes seem far apart. And we can't see the way between them. But I would hope to live into what could be instead of bowing to what is. But that's my way.
That would be all Show asks at this time, and I would go back to just protecting him, um, on more friendly terms. I would definitely feel more comfortable talking to him about things in general. Um, but yeah, uh, I don't really have any more specific questions for him at this time.
So I think for scene setting purposes, instead of being like one prolonged conversation, that might be like bits of conversation that come in quiet moments over a long span of time, like
Makes
weeks or
sense.
months, and sort of interspersed with, following him down the mountain to take to go and to provide healing in one village, and then to receive food from that village and take it to the next village, to go and spend time with children in another village, and all these little moments. You do see occasionally, especially when he, the only sort of flare of animosity you ever see from him or towards him are in rare moments where there are certain like officials or guards or merchants who see him like giving things away and sort of scowl but don't say anything. And sometimes you see him frown when he walks past some like visibly excessive outpost of like wealth and resources in a village that seems to be lacking them. And they're just these sort of moments, and it only stands out because everything else is calm. There's very much an impression of still water that only gently ripples occasionally. And those moments are like someone dropping in a heavy stone, and there's a sudden splash, and then it settles after a while. To close us out tonight, we'll sort of pull back from our sort of narrator's viewpoint, and show maybe starts to notice some of these. We'll give you some roles next time on it. In between these conversations, during these sort of escorts, sometimes there are glimpses of almost like movement that you catch out of the corner of your eye, but when you go to focus on it, it's not there. And we see silhouettes. To even call them figures is perhaps too much. But to see the outline of sort of stealthy and furtive movement, moving around the periphery, as this strange individual called Own wanders from village to village. All right. To the surprise of no one, this is running a lot more sessions than I thought it would. Y'all have been playing with me long enough to know, like, hey, let's start a one shot with Muppets, and there we go. What I might look into is maybe if folks have time, maybe we line up and just do some one on ones, and just like knock out a whole length of time,
Mhm.
and we can do like little sub videos to get us up to our next collective. That way we can jump straight into uh, everybody acting together, and get a little more going. All right. Well, I will text and or message folks about that. And if you're watching us and you're not a bot, you can find all of these monk subclasses on DM's Guild by searching Colby Whitaker. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end our stream. Bye, Internet.
God.
All right, good night, y'all.